everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. I am Kenneth Amaduri, and I got a very special guest, first-time guest on the line with me today. We're going to be getting a sense of the crypto markets and what is going on right now, and, honestly, why you should still care about what's going on with blockchain and cryptocurrencies, despite not being in this euphoric 2017 historic bull market. So with me on the line is Taylor Monahan, founder and CEO of MyCrypto.com, a visionary, someone who really struck while the iron was hot in crypto. So this is someone we can definitely ask and get some very interesting insight, I believe, on where we are in the crypto markets and what we can expect going forward. So without any further ado, Taylor, thanks for coming on the line with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to this chat.
Well, many people think that Bitcoin and blockchain, was a fad equivalent to Beanie Babies and Pogs. And many people think that they're valueless. There is no value in these things. And eventually they'll go worthless, similar to a Beanie Baby or a Pog. But I would venture to say that that's not you, and you are seeing a lot of things happen now, despite the bear market that we're in right now. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself and to tell us where we are in this current market.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, I'm Taylor Monahan. I'm the founder and CEO of MyCrypto, and MyCrypto is it's a interface for interacting with the blockchain, specifically mostly the Ethereum network. You can, create a new wallet. You can send your funds, your Ether, your tokens, all of that good stuff, from one wallet to another. And you can also do some fancy things like interact with smart contracts or interact with the ENS, which is a very specific Ethereum thing that basically assigns human readable names to addresses. And then, I've been in the space for a while now. I originally got into the space back in 2013, 2014. So I actually experienced the last bear market, which was way more depressing than this current environment is. So yeah, we can dive into, the differences between that bear market and this one to start off, if that's good with you.
Well, that is interesting that bear market you describe as more depressing.
Mm-hmm.
And I would ask you why. Let's get right into it.
So after, basically Bitcoin went from about it slowly ramped up from 50 to 100 to 200, and then it shot up big bubble style to 1200. And then two things sort of happened. One, the market corrected just like we saw in the 2017, 2018. But also Mt. Gox got hacked, which was the biggest exchange in the ecosystem. Everyone was using it. Even if you were using a different exchange, they were actually storing their funds in Mt. Gox. So essentially, everyone in the entire ecosystem either lost their funds when Mt. Gox got hacked, or they lost their funds because they bought at the top. And the biggest difference between then and now is that there wasn't as much being built back then. It was really, really the early days where the only real sort of products were really early versions of exchanges that were obviously quite insecure. We hadn't really learned our lessons yet. Coinbase was just getting started. Blockchain was just getting started. Blockchain.info, like the block explorer /wallet. And that was pretty much it. And so when this happened, the entire sort of ecosystem just was sad. Everyone was sad. And I know a lot of people who, entered the space maybe a year ago are feeling pretty sad now. Every time they go and they look at their portfolios, or, they check their balances, or they check the markets, it can be pretty depressing. But I think the major difference is today, we have so much more going for us. You have way more robust protocols and networks being built. Obviously, things like Ethereum and Monero have proven themselves and have proven that they're going to be around for a while. And then you have actual, useful things built on top of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, etc. And so that's sort of the biggest difference, is that people aren't, there are a lot of people that are just speculating, but there's also a lot of additional value being created by the builders in this space. And the reality is the builders aren't really watching the price and aren't being affected by the price. And they're just heads down building right now. And in fact, that's what we're doing. Like my team, the market's down, like we're like, sweet, we have more time to build. We have more resources to dedicate to, developing and improving our knowledge base and making sure we answer those support tickets really, really fast, because unlike about a year ago, the world isn't on fire. So we have the ability to dedicate more resources to just building remarkable things. And it actually feels really, really good.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. One of the things that I want to ask you about then is price. How important is price? And how important is price to, the infrastructure that we're seeing being built out now? Did it take a 2017 type bull market to incentivize, entrepreneurs and tech, people in the tech industry to really dive into cryptocurrency? Because of the price, because of the possibility of making money and creating value in the space?
That's a really interesting question. And I think the price does have a lot to do with what we saw being built. And obviously, a ton of new projects kind of got their start in 2017 during the bull market. But I actually think one of the main reasons that people were building more and new projects were coming to life and teams were being built out, while related to the price or caused by the price, was actually sort of the effects that the price had, which is bringing a whole bunch of new people into this space. And so, for us, what we saw was, yes, the price was going up, and yes, that was exciting. But what was even more remarkable was the amount of people entering the space, and whether they were entering the space because they were truly deeply interested in the technology, or they were speculators, or they were just really, really greedy, or maybe a combination of all of the above. Regardless of that, we had new people entering the space and getting interested in cryptocurrency. And so when you have that, you have then the opportunity on the other side for builders and developers and companies to create value for these new people, and obviously to have users. And that's something right now, if you're going to start a company, that may be a bit more of a struggle, is how do you get users, or how do you get feedback on your product, or, with just less people being around right now.
So are we seeing a major washout right now in the crypto space? And are you noticing this being in the heart of it? And I read a report. It said 80% of the ICOs that came out in 2017 were scams. And I don't know what their definition of scam was exactly, but regardless, somewhere along that spectrum, a lot of people came out of the woodwork. And I'm wondering what the washout is looking like from your perspective.
So the people that are, using our product right now and, emailing us for support and interacting with us on Twitter, they're definitely a different demographic than they were a year ago. That's not to say it's, it's worse or it's better. It's just, it's a really different environment. There's definitely a lot less people around. And, I think a lot of people that got in 2017 kind of, have kind of sat back and be like, look, instead of checking the price every day, instead of watching the market every day, instead of getting sort of that high over, watching the price go up or watching your portfolio grow, they're probably like kind of back to their regular life right now. Like, and they'll check in every once in a while, and they'll probably come back when the market goes back up, or there's some exciting stuff happening. But definitely the people we're seeing are, sort of the more hardcore types, the people that are actually interested in the underlying technology, people that really are interested in learning how to use our product, or, interact with the blockchain, or what is this whole blockchain thing about. Those are the types of people that are here today.
So what is your general thoughts on Bitcoin, the original, the big daddy?
Mm-hmm.
And then what are your thoughts on other cryptos? Are you bullish on any one in particular because of any specific unique characteristics that it has?
So Ethereum is definitely like my baby, so to speak. And, even though I originally got into the space because of Bitcoin, Ethereum is really the one that like stole my heart. And that's why we build on it, Ethereum. And, I think Bitcoin will always be here. I think it provides immense value, and it sets the sort of tone within this ecosystem of, the right way to build, the careful way to build, the just having that diligence. I think that they do a really great job of that. Ethereum is just a little bit like, the philosophy is a little bit different. So it's very community focused. It's very working together and being welcoming, and having great, atmosphere for developers. And, it also moves a little bit faster and, is willing to make some big changes to the protocol. Obviously, moving to proof of stake is going to be a huge undertaking. And, it's going to enable a lot of things, but to get from where we are now to get to there, to proof of stake, is going to be a challenge, to say the least. And it's an exciting one. And then obviously like Monero holds a place in my heart as well. And the reason I think that I'm a fan of sort of these big three is that each of them has sort of a specific like underlying vision and philosophy, and they're really like, they stick to that. And they're all, they all sort of have the same larger goals, but they do it and they approach it in a very particular way. So yeah, those are my big three, and Ethereum is definitely, my number one by a lot. And, one of the things that I'm also excited about with Ethereum is, not necessarily the ICOs and the scams and all that shit, but the tokens that do actually, have value and are going to help Ethereum become even bigger and more remarkable and more useful, and, all those things that we're hoping to accomplish.
So when you watch the mainstream media, definitely it wasn't them covering Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies or Ethereum at the right time. But they still disregard it. And even now in this bear market, they can do so even more. Is it going to take the mainstream to come around to something like Ethereum for it to really take off? Or is it going to continue to be this, outcast, this pariah within the overall financial community?
God, you ask really good questions. So I think in order for cryptocurrency and blockchain tech to really, steal the average user's heart, or get like the average person really, really excited about it, it's going to take a lot of little iterative evolutions to make the whole space more usable and make it really, really easy for people to get in. And a lot of times this entire space is sort of, people draw comparisons to the early days of the internet. And I think that it's an apt comparison because the early internet was pretty unusable, pretty, reserved for really hardcore tech enthusiasts, people that were willing to, dive deep and put in that extra effort. And that's exactly how crypto is right now. So in order for us to get from where we are now to, everyone being able to use it just like the internet, we're going to need a ton of different sort of companies and people and projects and teams doing a whole bunch of different things. So, AOL and their stupid CDs that they just spammed to the entire world as sort of, it leaves like a bad taste in your mouth, right? And it's like this nostalgic, icky thing that was part of the past. The reality is that action and the steps that AOL took in the early days really did do a lot to drive mainstream adoption. And so I think we're going to see those sorts of things. We're going to see different philosophies. We're going to see people that, make it really, really easy, but sacrifice maybe some of the decentralized nature in order to get there. And we're also going to see people building like the really deep underlying infrastructure. And then I think as it grows, the user experience and the user interfaces and the companies that are being built are going to be just more like the internet today, where you have a wide array of people doing, fascinating things every single day. And it's just sort of a given. Like, it's a given that the internet exists. It's going to continue to exist. We're going to have awesome things that we, are enabled by the internet. I think that same sort of stuff is going to happen with cryptocurrency. It's just going to take some time to get there.
All right, Taylor. So let's close this out. Not financial advice, but if people want to know what you're doing, are you a buyer of Bitcoin 6,500, Ethereum $200, Monero, you mentioned Monero $100. Are you a buyer of these cryptocurrencies at these prices?
I am already, let's just say I bought a lot, like, over the last
You're already
years.
in.
I'm already all in.
You're spring-loaded to the upside already.
I honestly wish I had some more USD to play around in this market, but I have a pretty diverse set of shit, and obviously Ethereum's my number one, but I do love, even in this market, it is fun to watch, it's fun to watch the market, but it's even more fun to watch, the market respond to the sort of the underlying tech or the value being created on top of each of these chains. So right now, not, moving a lot of money around, but I am still every single day watching what's happening in this remarkable community.
Well, Taylor, if you would, please close us out here. If people want to learn more about what you do and interact with MyCrypto.com, let them know what they can expect to find and how they can go about interacting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to MyCrypto.com, in the footer, we have like all of our social media links. I definitely love Twitter because it takes almost none of my time, and I can't be super long-winded there. So at MyCrypto on Twitter, or my personal Twitter is at Tayvano, Tayvano, and then a little underscore at the end because someone already had that username. And then we have like a Discord channel and all of that great stuff. That's all in the footer of MyCrypto. And yeah, we're a great solution if you have any Ether or tokens and you want to get them off of an exchange, you want to be in full control of your funds and your private keys, and obviously, stay safe out there and don't rely on anyone else for your own personal security.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Crush the Street with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.